What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we got the New Orleans Pelicans up in the lineup. This team just got a new head coach. Coming from the Phoenix Suns is Willie Green. He will be the head coach of this team. He's coming off the assistants crew from Monty Williams' squad with Phoenix, so he's fresh off of a finals appearance as an assistant coach. So we'll see what kind of knowledge he can bring to the team from that. Think when you think the Pelicans, you think Zion. That's pretty much what the team is as far as casual viewers and everything go. If you don't know much about the Pelicans, you at least know Zion. He's the face of this franchise. He's an elite paint player. He's an insane athlete. But Zion's just one of those dudes. If you let him get to the rim, he's most likely going to finish, and there's not much you can do about it. He's just got a bully ball type of play. He's shown the ability to stretch out the floor a little bit and be able to shoot the three just a little bit. It's not the most consistent thing, and you don't want to rely on that from him, but he's shown the ability to do it, so that is also a threat. But, you know, his number one thing is going to be to get to the basket, and he's going to do whatever he can to get there. Brandon Ingram is the number 2 option on this team. I believe he's a great number 2 option, but I think him and Zion both want to be the number 1 guys on a team, and that's just simply not going to work out. That's not going to happen. You can't have 2 number 1 guys. Someone's got to take that slight back seat. You can obviously have 2 or 3 great scorers on a team. Look at the Warriors with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. You can obviously make it work, but everyone's attitudes and mindsets have to be right. So one of these dudes has to adjust, and it's got to be Brandon Ingram, because Zion is the face of this team. He's already got family members trying to talk him out of New Orleans. Apparently he has some doubts in New Orleans. Don't know how true those rumors are, but we'll take them with a grain of salt. But they're still out there, so it is potentially true. So Ingram's really he's got to take that slight step back, let Zion be the number 1, Ingram be the number 2, and Ingram's still going to be that dude that's going to be out there getting those shooting looks, because like I said, Zion's mostly trying to get to the paint. Ingram's going to be that guy that can score from beyond the paint for this team. Obviously he's a good scorer on the inside as well, but he's a lot more versatile as far as mid-range shooting and 3-point shooting than Zion is. So these two guys need to sort things out so this team can be successful. Devontae Graham comes in this offseason from the Lonzo Ball trade. I think it was a 3-way trade, but if it wasn't, Devontae Graham came over anyway in some kind of signer trade or something. But he's a great scoring addition for this team. But overall, I believe he's a downgrade from Lonzo, and definitely a downgrade for this roster specifically. Like I said, you've got Brandon Ingram and Zion that are both guys that want to score the ball, want the ball in their hand. You bring in Devontae Graham, who's another one of those guys that his best thing is scoring, and he doesn't really make too much of an impact outside of scoring the ball. Lonzo was a guy that could play make, and he was a good defender. He didn't have to have the ball in his hand and be the one shooting it to make that difference. So I definitely think this is going to be an area where this team struggles. There's just not enough balls on the court for everyone to get there what they want. So they'll have to figure out how to make that work between, like I said, Zion and Brandon Ingram, and then bringing in Devontae Graham, who's another scorer, and mainly just a scorer. He's not going to go out there and be an absolute dog on defense. He's not the greatest facilitator, but he can get buckets. So we'll see if that's what this team needs, or if they need that player like Lonzo on their squad, which obviously Lonzo's not going to be coming back from the Bulls anytime soon, so they'd have to find someone that plays similar to that, not Lonzo himself. Valanciunas was a solid addition to this team as well in the offseason. He can stretch the floor much better than Steven Adams, who they swapped him for. And that floor stretching is what's needed next to Zion, because although, like I said, Zion can shoot from outside if needed, it's not his biggest strength. So having Valanciunas next to him, a big center that can go out there and shoot the ball a little bit better, is something that this team is going to benefit from. And Valanciunas also rebounds better than Steven Adams. I was actually kind of surprised looking at these stats, but as far as overall rebounding per 36 numbers, everything everything that I was looking at, Valanciunas is actually a better rebounder than Steven Adams. I thought Steven Adams would take the slight edge in that category just because he's got that bigger body. He's a absolute bruiser. He's been deemed the strongest player in the league by many guys that have come out and talked about it. But Valanciunas does take the edge on that. So that's a nice little upgrade for this Pelicans roster. And then you've got Nickeil Alexander-Walker coming in. He's a nice piece. I say coming in. He's not coming in. He's coming into his second or third season. But he's a guy that just needs to keep developing. They need to let him be able to get his shots, be able to play his game. He's had a couple of nice buckets in the preseason here so far. He's going to have a solid third year if they just let him play his game. But like I said, he's alongside Zion, Brandon Ingram, and Devontae Graham, who are all guys that kind of need the ball and need to be scoring to feel like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So we'll see what happens with this, see if Nickeil can get his run or not. And then I love Jackson Hayes coming out of college. He's a guy that can be utilized on an NBA roster somewhere. I just don't know if this is the fit for him in New Orleans. He's a super athletic player, super energetic, but he's still a very raw player. And he's really got to show improvements this year, or he's really just a guaranteed backup center the rest of his life, or rest of his career, I should say. But he can get the crowd going on his blocks and dunks. He's super like high energy guy, high motor guy. So he's really gotta take a step this year if he wants to make sure that he doesn't get stuck into that backup center role permanently. Josh Hart's another player on this roster, one of the longest tenured players on this roster, I believe. But he's a solid 3-and-D player, solid 3-and-D role player, I should say. He's not going to go out there and be your Klay Thompson or anything crazy like that. But he's not the best 3-point shooter last season. So he wants to look to get those percentages up if he's going to be that 3-and-D player off the bench for him. But he's going to be a solid role player for this team, and he'll just continue to play his part and do his thing off the bench here. And then you got Thomas Satoransky coming in. I know this one was part of the Lonzo Ball trade, but he's a solid playmaker off the bench. He averages about 5 assists a game for the past couple seasons, so he can definitely come off the bench. He can make some plays. He can create some stuff, get some stuff going on. He doesn't have to be scoring the ball, so he's really the biggest replacement piece for Lonzo, so to say, when it comes to that playmaking that I was talking about for Lonzo. You've got rookies Herb Jones and Jose Alvarado. Alvarado's on a 2-way contract, but these are 2 players that I say to keep your eye on for this squad. They're both very determined individuals. They're not going to let much of anything stop them from being on the court and from getting their spot and getting the ball and making a name for themselves, really. But Herb battled a lot of injuries at Alabama. He played through a fractured wrist. A lot of people will probably know him from that. He had the cast on his left wrist. Went up to the free throw line to shoot some free throws and ended up shooting right-handed because he's a dominant lefty. But obviously couldn't use that hand with the cast on it. So went up and shot some righty free throws. And like, this dude is going to do whatever he can to be on the court. Which is crazy because so many guys would just take the time off and let that recover. But props to Herb for doing that, and we'll see how his career plays out. And then Alvarado is one of my favorite rookies this year, if not my favorite rookie overall. But I've been watching him live a few times here and there at Georgia Tech when he was there, and just seeing how gritty of a player he is, how good on defense he is. Like, he just has an absolute nose for the ball. He's a defensive menace. He can get the job done on the offensive end, whether that's scoring or distributing. He can go out there and knock shots down. He can slash to the basket. He can distribute the ball well. And he was averaging about 2 steals a game for his whole college career at Georgia Tech, which was 3 or 4 years. He may have played all 4 years, but either way, averaging 2 steals a game in an ACC basketball conference, like, that's insane. Like I said, he's got a nose for the ball, and both of these guys, like I said, both these rookies are going to go out there and make a way for themselves on this roster. My season predictions for this team, I think this is a dysfunctional team because, like I said, Zion and Brandon Ingram got to figure out who's going to be that dominant guy, the number one option. It should be Zion, like I said, but I think this is going to be a dysfunctional team, and they're going to finish around 33 wins or so. Also, new coach, new system, players got to learn that. So I definitely think this can be a team that competes for the play-in tournament, but ultimately I think they miss out on it and end up just out of the postseason, not seeing what that looks like, and they'll just have to keep building. They got to build around Zion. Whether Brandon Ingram is part of that or not, we'll see. But they just got to keep building this team around Zion and focusing that, and we'll see how that goes this year. Like I said, keep your eyes on Herb Jones and Jose Alvarado. Hoping Alvarado gets called up quickly, and we get to see him play some valuable minutes and not just garbage time stuff. So keep your eye out for those guys, and that is my predictions and breakdown for the New Orleans Pelicans roster. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like, comment your thoughts on the team, and subscribe if you're new, and I will catch y'all in the next video. Peace out.